What's up, man? We are live on YouTube right now.
Cool.
Yeah. Exciting. So, I know we'll have some viewers here in a little bit, but just in case somebody scrolls back, we are getting ready to do our podcast and we wanted you to be able to join us. I wish there was a way. I mean, we don't do the like the channel join button kind of thing yet, but I wish there was a way to like just send it out to subscribers. That'd be pretty cool.
I
You
could
can with the
um
join
I could
button.
send it out to my email list.
Yeah, send it out to your email list. Oh, we have 14 on right now.
Oh, really? We could
Yeah.
leave it at that. Just let it happen organically, or um
Yeah.
let me
What's up?
send it
Good
out to,
morning.
let me send it out to the list.
Sherry Hero and Jeremiah. Oh, snap. They're live again. Yeah, it's been a while. We are alive. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
It's been an insane summer, and we wanted just to be able to let everybody hang out with us on live stream, but also record our podcast that'll probably come out at some point next week. Just kind of telling everybody about our summers, what it's been like, all the different things we've learned. It's been crazy.
Yeah, we also gonna open it up for a couple of questions every, so often. So
Yeah, every time I'm like, all right, what do I talk about next? Oh, you know what? Questions. So, how do you do the?
yes. So
It's
if
been
you
a
have a
while.
question, man, just go ahead, drop it in the chat section, and it would be helpful if you said question, then you
It
gave your
would be.
question.
Yeah, we're both
Yeah.
moderating right now, so if
Mm-hmm.
David sees something, he'll grab it. If I see something, I'll grab it.
All right,
So,
I'm gonna send this out.
yeah, go ahead.
One sec.
What's better, the side by side view or the speaker view?
I think it'd be nice if you could switch back and forth.
Well, when I get bored, I'll just play with it. I'll just switch back and forth. So, what are you doing? You're sending out the email to all the viewers? So anyway, yeah, so we're gonna start this podcast soon, and like you guys that are live or on the live with us are kind of just sitting with us as if you're in the studio hanging out, and you'll hear the intro and everything. You'll probably hear like 80 intros because I usually botch that at least the first time. So yeah, just hang out with us, and we'll answer your questions. We'll make sure to pay attention to you guys too, for sure. And if you have any piano questions, direct them to David. Just say question, da 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 da. If you have any other questions that I might could help out with, I'd be happy to. So, question. Yes, let's go ahead and get started before we do the podcast. Let's see here. As a worship leader, hey,
I'm trying to
this might
find
be
the
all it
link.
is today.
I'm trying to find the link for this, bro.
Go
Um,
back to that live studio thing, and you
I
should be
think
able
I'm
to
gonna have
snag
to
the
go
link.
like the old school way.
That's fine. Yeah, do that. So we have a question from Jr. He said, as a worship leader, do you constantly find yourself on the offense or defense um, with warfare during worship? Um, so what do you think? Offense or defense during
Offense or
warfare?
defense?
Yeah, during warfare, during worship, with warfare during worship.
Okay. Well, you're certainly asking this question coming from a certain place, and I understand that. I would think of like there are certain there's obviously an enemy, and he does not want us to have an experience where we're worshiping the Lord and honoring him for what he's done for us. And so I would often see like some spiritual warfare in terms of like the team members in the morning and nothing's going right, right? Like everyone's late, or they're having challenges at home and they're bringing that to work, or I have volunteers who are arguing with one another. And
Mm-hmm.
so I actually experience that um, more often than I want, you know? And so, yeah, I would say we do have spiritual warfare in that sense.
Yeah. I think more often than not, definitely on the defense, for a lot of the same reasons David said. Um, and I would say, I would kind of look at like hesitation from the congregation and just kind of the apathetic stuff from a congregation. I would say that's more offense because you have to, you just got to set in and worship and bring them with you more than, try to beat them down and say, hey, you should be worshiping. Because that never really helps in that situation. So we had John ask what keyboard he should buy. I mean, I know what keyboard you should buy, John, but I don't know what your application would be. It's one sitting right beside David right now.
Right here, this beauty right here. You said what keyboard you should buy.
Yeah, uncover that
Um,
thing. Come on,
it's
you're live on YouTube right now. You need to uncover
Yeah,
that.
no, I try to. I don't want to forget. It's Go ahead, tell him, Chad, because we both got the
It's
same
the
one.
we do. It's the CP73 by Yamaha. It's a wonderful keyboard. I love it. David kind of turned me on to it. Actually, I played a CP88. One of the guys here left it here for a while. Let me use it. It was a beautiful keyboard. It was just really big and heavy. And I said, you know what? I don't want to pay that much. I'm going to buy the 73. I love it so much. Just got a case for it, by the way. I was supposed to be in another part of South Carolina doing a worship thing this weekend, but that got pushed to the beginning of October. So that's why we're doing this live stream, actually, by the way, too. And he also said, interested in any suggestion with keyboard? Yep, CP73 for sure. And what voicings he should try? All of them,
Okay, that's a
or
very
is that
loaded
something that?
question.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Chad.
Well, that may just be something different that you know about that I don't. But I mean, I try to do
Well,
as many different voicings as possible.
all right. I sent the email, by the way.
Sweet.
Um, and so yeah, I sent the email. So we'll see what happens. It's telling me. All right,
So, are you going
I
to answer
sent it.
that question about voicings?
Voicings. What voicings you should try? Like what voicings you should try would be like asking, um,
What roads you should drive?
what roads I should drive. Yeah.
Yeah, all of them.
So I don't mean it in a bad way, but that just shows the level of like fundamentals that you're missing. So, um, I would say first off, I would say grasp the fundamentals
Yeah,
and learn like your basic chords, all of them first. And I would say if you don't know have the fundamentals, I would say you should like rather than trying to just navigate from YouTube video to YouTube video, you're not going to get it that way because YouTube isn't designed that way. It's not structured. And so you definitely need to get into like a structured program. And so
yeah,
that's my suggestion.
yeah. Prince asked any advice on learning how to play in all keys or express himself in all keys. Um, but yeah, I'm actually David and I both have talked about this before in a podcast, one of our most recent podcasts. Did we title it "All Keys Matter"? I think we did,
No,
or did we not?
no, I don't think we did.
That was like the
That's
running title. That was like our
yeah,
working title. But
yeah. That's the name of the shirt that you were making.
yeah, oh, I made it by the way, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. We haven't put it out yet because it's been a busy summer. So yes, obviously you see an importance of playing in all keys. Just what David was saying, as far as make sure you go back to the fundamentals, kind of the basics, and I would say duplicate that in every single key, even if it takes you longer to learn one key as opposed to another, because you'll be grateful for that. What I mean by duplicate is like maybe voicings that you are familiar with in other keys. Maybe literally sit down and train your fingers where they go in C sharp and then D and then E flat and then E. So Um, it's yeah, that's important just to spend the time in those keys. I mean, the way I did it, and I'm probably going to do a video about this, how I learned to play in all 12 keys, is I started with those basics. So like uh, the scales, learning scales like double hand 1 and 2 octave scales in every single key. Of course, all the like basic triads, and then taking those same patterns that I do in B flat, doing that in A flat and G flat and whatever, all those other things. And then once you're able to do that in the basic way in every key, then you can start expanding. And when you learn a new idea, maybe David does a video and shows you a new idea, a new concept, a run, a lick, you'll be able to apply that to other keys, second nature, uh, because you put in that legwork as a at the beginning and got that foundation. Um, what's up, people? What's up, man? What's y'all's
Cool.
favorite key to play in? What's your favorite key to? We answered this too in that like that video, the all keys matter
Oh,
video.
favorite key? What's yours?
Yeah.
What's yours, Chad?
Mostly because it works best with my voice on most songs. B flat, A flat, C sharp. That's I live there. F sharp all the time. F. I mean, it's just, and if a song's in C, I'll just change it to B. Just because I enjoy playing in B or B flat better than C. My fingers are long too, so I play. I kind of have to play up on the keyboard. Um, and it's C's just kind of not as fun to play in. Um,
Yeah.
what about you? I know you like
Um.
D flat.
Yeah. D flat. I mean, I like to think that I don't have a favorite key, but every
I
time I
don't.
jump
Yeah.
on the piano, I naturally go to E flat.
E flat. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like every time. And then second would be D flat.
I have E flat just in general stuck in my head because of several songs that have come out recently. Um, just stuck. Like I can hear the anyway. Maybe it's the beginnings of, or maybe it's the continuation of like relative pitch because I definitely don't
Hmm.
have perfect pitch. It's like, oh wow, I can hear it. What is your? Oh yeah, we already answered that. Oh, hers is Stephanie's is C and F. Um, somebody's is an A flat or D flat. That's cool. Man, we're getting some questions. Good morning. So we ain't getting to this podcast. So for those of you jumping on, we are supposed to be recording a podcast right now, and I think we're just going to kind of get into it and leave this as a live stream, and then just jump back on like the theme podcast next time. But
Yeah.
real quick
Well,
though,
if we're not
before
going to do a podcast, I don't need to connect my.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Oh, okay. All right. I was trying
I
to.
wouldn't worry about it. I'm not even recording on the camera, so we're good.
Okay.
Let's just keep it like this. But I do want to talk about what you did this summer.
Yeah.
What'd
And
you do? Where were we this summer? We put out one video in June and one video in July. Where were you?
yeah. Well, I sent you my videos, I think. I think they
Well,
didn't
you
get
did.
edited.
You
And
sent
I wasn't
one.
sure if I
No, you
was
sent
kicked
two.
off the channel
No, you weren't.
or
Not at all.
uh yeah. And so, hey guys, we're going to talk about some things. Go ahead, drop your questions in the chat
I'll
section.
keep
If you
up with
want
it.
your question read, go ahead and say question and then put your question. That'll make it
Yeah.
so much easier for us, by the way. But we're also going to tell you guys what we've been up to this summer. So, um, June, from April, from by the time I got to April, my life was no longer my own. So I was planning a mission trip for a little bit over 70 people. And
Yeah.
so that's where my time was consumed, and it was a lot of details because I was basically planning every moment of everyone's life and planning like where we would go, bus transportation, food, where we would eat, and you would be surprised. Like you just can't say, "Oh, 70 people, we're going to eat at this place." No, it doesn't work like that, right? Like a restaurant says, "No, you just can't show up. You need to fill out a contract." And so yeah, anyway, it was a lot of work. So that was a big part of what I did this summer. But I have a whole ton. But what were you doing this summer?
Yeah, so basically around the same time, we sorry, the view went away. Basically around the same time, we took a contract. Our denomination took a contract for our neighboring state, North Carolina. The same denomination, we took that state's conference and recorded it here at our church. And it was a big deal, especially for them, but it was a big deal for us because it took a level of production that we hadn't experienced necessarily before. And but they like what we put out. They like how things looked. They like how things sound as far as our normal church stuff. And we wanted to help them out with it. And so from May until just at the beginning of July, I could. That was most of what I was thinking about. Um, so by producing, I mean it was a 3 day conference, and we did every video, every segment of that conference we shot, like recorded here, in on 4 different cameras, and had to put that together. And it was a lot. It was the most like individual production video work I'd done probably ever in a short amount of time. And to be able to turn that out with excellence and with the same type of excellence as you see on the channel and see just about anywhere else, it took a lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of people. And so that's all I could think about. At the same time, we are getting ready to do our state's our denomination state conference here at our church live. We did the recorded one for North Carolina because they didn't want everybody to come together. We did the one here live with a smaller group instead of just anybody, and that also took some effort. But we learned so much as a production team. I learned a lot just on my own as far as like how to get quality video and all that stuff. I mean, there were so many things as far as tech and all that junk that I learned, and it was good to be able to do that because I probably should have did that last year. But there were
Mm-hmm.
things like getting lower thirds from ProPresenter. I thought I had the perfect solution, but then that failed in June,
Mm.
and we had to go with a more like pro level of solution for that kind of thing, and learning about all of that. So there's some stuff that I might make for the channel in the future. Just kind of showing my experience with that. It's nothing revolutionary. It's nothing that hasn't been done before by any means. It's out there. In fact, anyway.
Yeah,
So that was a
that's.
lot of that. Yeah,
I was gonna say
leading
it seemed
into
like this
July.
summer was a summer of growth for both of us, like
Yeah,
in doing new things. And I could talk about some other things, but you
yeah,
okay with taking a few questions?
yeah. Let's take some questions. Matthew Brown. Good morning. As a musical director, how do you structure out your rehearsals when leading both vocalists and musicians? How do you feel a weekly rehearsal is versus at home practice? Can I answer this?
Go ahead, man.
Matthew, so I do this right now. I used to have somebody help with vocals, and we would have a an hour block of our rehearsal that specifically for vocals. I would work with a band, that person would work with vocals, and we would come together. And so that person left our church a couple years ago, and or maybe 3 years ago, and I didn't actually have a desire to have that again because I kind of learned a new method, and I learned a method that works best for us. We I encourage at home practice like crazy. I think everybody should be practicing at home, only practicing on the days that you eat, that kind of thing. And then when you come together for rehearsal, that's the time where you clean it up, not learn those parts. As a worship leader, we can do things like put out the parts on planning center, those kinds of things, and help them with that during the week. And then they come and we clean that up together. And so we do like a full crash through of every song, and then we do an actual run through of the what the worship set is gonna quote unquote look like on that Sunday morning. So that includes production, lights, sound, all that. And we do that to give ourselves practice, give ourselves that what is this set going to feel like on Sunday, or what could it feel like? and we don't want to limit the Holy Spirit by any means, but we also want to be prepared. And sometimes rehearsals are incredibly packed with like they're just incredible times, and we get to Sunday and we're like, wow, I wish it could have
Mm-hmm.
been like rehearsal, but because we do allow ourselves to worship as if it's Sunday, because you can worship any day. But that's
Yeah.
what we do. I just yeah, at home practice is very important.
I think that's a great answer. And you said it, but I just want to reiterate one section was you provide the resources for your team.
Not
And so
every
many
time.
times I feel like I've seen worship leaders expect their team to like, why don't you know this stuff? Like you should know better. And
Yeah,
they had no resources to go off of, right? Like they didn't get any parts at they didn't have any vocal like preparation or anything. So you got to provide the resources for your team.
you really do.
Um,
Yeah, we don't every time. I don't want to say I'm perfect. Well, I don't every time, and then at that point I'm like, okay, here's the part, and we teach it, but we try
yeah.
to.
So the next question
Yeah,
was,
go ahead.
what does submission to the Holy Spirit during a live worship set mean to you? Look like as a worship leader, I'd love to hear your heart on a time when this happened to you guys. Go ahead, man.
Me. Okay. What does it look like? Submission to the Holy Spirit is you have to be willing to listen, um, to what He's saying. I personally believe that you prophetic worship is alive and well today, and if you're listening, if you have worshiped that week to the point where God has filled you and filled your heart, that He will speak to you things. I mean, even sometimes I've had weeks that have been really rough, and then Sunday morning I worship, but I also listen to what He's saying, and then a lot of times that can come out as a word, that can come out as uh, like sung, things that just I feel like He's saying to me or to the congregation. I think just being willing to listen. Sometimes we get so distracted by what the loop's doing or what the drummer's doing or what we're doing, but if you learn how to listen, then I think it's a it could change the way you worship and change the way you lead worship.
Yeah.
Um
I think
that's
we come from certainly like different we're in different church traditions right now. Like you're in the charismatic like Pentecostal tradition and I'm in like a Baptist tradition. And so
yeah.
I know that we would look at these things differently, but I certainly agree with you, like we have to be willing to listen. Something I do is I I try to during the week to actually prepare like okay, I go through the songs and I think about what truths are in the scriptures, what God has said, and like how can I tell the people that, not just sing the songs, but like how can I tell it? And I believe in that way, like I'm opening up myself to the Spirit and what He has to say in that moment. Like that's my one time of meditation about what we're singing before I get on Sunday morning, and I try to do this on Thursday. So that's the one thing I do. The next question was, you want to read this?
Yeah. Hi, I have. Is this the one? I play classical music, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm comfortable playing chords in all keys, but I can't imagine my playing. Sorry, I cannot read today. But I can't integrate my playing to worship type music. Any advice for me?
This is a common question I get.
Well, then you got to answer it.
Um, well, the commonality is a lot of people come from a classical background and then they want to play worship music, and it's like those are two languages. It's almost like, did you grow up speaking French and now you're asked to speak like Spanish, like or yeah, you're just asked to speak two different languages. So I would say that you have a good solid foundation in music. Um, but I would say start learning like your chord structures, and your chord progressions. And that's not something that you necessarily learn in classical music in the same way.
Mm.
Like, you're taught about chord progressions and chord structures, but not necessarily how applying that to music. Like, you learn it, but you don't. There's not a whole lot of like application. This is how the application works.
Yeah.
Would you agree with me, Chad?
Yeah, I definitely would. I feel like it's gonna feel like they're going back as a beginner, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I gotta just do this." And but you could also, a lot of charts are out there for pianists, and you can play exactly what has been transcribed from almost any song, um, to kind of get you started. But I would go Davin's route and learn those chord structures and just play those basic chords for a while. Um, and then you'll be able to start your throwing in extra stuff. And I think it's also maybe studying improv a little bit, will also help you with that. Davin does some really cool like lick and riff videos that I feel like could help you too, because it's like, well, I could do this on any chord almost. Um, he's got a few of those videos out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be like, but by learning a riff, you're learning the language of Christian contemporary music, right? Like, you're learning things that you could apply to it. And so, yeah, that's absolutely right. Um, cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
As a worship leader, this is from Sherry. As a worship leader, songs come to me all the time. Sometimes it's only an an excerpt
yeah.
or part of a song. What advice would you give to finish them up without being discouraged? Maybe hang out with somebody that's like super good at playing something or super good at writing or music. It's okay to collaborate. I think that's one thing that I'm not a songwriter. I can't say I wish I were, and I wish I could speak to this, as if I'm Brandon Lake right now. But one thing that I've heard them say a lot is you've got to collaborate with people that are really good and be okay with your song being changed and morphed into something beautiful, um, with help. And I'd say find somebody that you trust that's not going to just steal your stuff. Find somebody you trust that genuinely wants to write music with you, and preferably somebody that can play something really well, like a piano, guitar.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. Something I've been realizing, man, is what we do often is we always say, how do I figure this out on my own? How do I figure it out on my own? Like, how do I learn to
Yeah,
play the piano on my own? And you realize, like, it's just not possible.
yeah,
You have to go and find somebody that's done it, and they show you the ropes, and then they teach you in such a way that, oh, now you can finish that on your own, right? Like, you've
yeah,
developed enough of the tools to to develop that skill on your own. But you first got to go to somebody. So that's a very good point.
yeah. That's great.
Um,
Good question. Yeah.
is there a reason why you say E flat instead of D sharp, B flat instead of A sharp?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
Um,
matter. Although
it
what you'll
changes the
find
way the
is,
music's written as far as on sheet music, but
yeah,
it doesn't matter as far as. Oh, go ahead. You'll
I
find
was,
a lot of people like flats more than
yeah,
sharps.
like I was gonna say, like the only reason you'll hear me say E flat over D sharp is because I'm, I don't really, I'm it feels unnatural to me to say D sharp, except when I'm like playing in B, right? Or when I'm in F sharp. Other than that, it just feels really unnatural. And those are the only times I would use those notes. So I think
Well, here's a
so.
music pun joke. It is unnatural. Take that one to the music building. All right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I say B flat as opposed to A sharp. I say A flat as opposed to G sharp. But I say F sharp as opposed to G flat.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you'll find too that like different pockets of genres you'll be like, oh, okay, well, like the gospel world, they say, they more likely would say A flat than G sharp. And
99.999% likely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. More, I mean, I'm just, But it doesn't matter. You can call it whatever you want. Well, don't call it what it's not, but you can call it whatever you
Hmm.
want. Sorry, that was too long on that question. How
How
do
do
you
you recommend learning piano and acoustic guitar at the same time as far as practice time scheduling? This is
just
you.
do it? Just do it. So yes, all I was doing for a long time was playing that guitar. I mean, obviously, well, not obviously. Most of you don't know. I mean, I'm mostly a bass player. But I kept playing guitar on Sunday mornings and leading worship while learning how to play the piano. And then finally, I just, I don't know, I just do it. I spend the time. I don't have a set schedule. What's funny, like me, as far as like the way I stay fit and active and whatnot, I really try to just do what I want to do at that moment. As long as I have a healthy understanding of doing something, you know what I mean? Like not just sitting around not doing anything. If I want to play guitar right now but I need to be practicing piano, I'll sit down and I'll play guitar right now because I will learn more when I want to do it.
Yeah.
However, but there are times like, okay, I've got to practice the piano because I'm about to play this on Sunday morning. I get that. But when you don't have that so much pressure, dude, just play what you want in that moment. Now,
Hmm.
what I've done though is I feel like I've cheated on my bass because I've gotten much much better at piano. And me and David talked about this. I was like, dude, how do you wrestle with this idea that you're giving up on something that you're so good at? And I mean, I don't, I don't claim to be good, but I've been told I'm good. So how do you give up on some? You're not giving up on it really. You're just learning something new. God's putting you in a new path to be able to handle situations and do different things that He's calling you to do in those moments. I firmly believe. And both piano players left, and I've also, through my diligence, have been able to train up another piano player, and so her and I
Oh,
play
that's
almost
cool.
every Sunday morning.
That's cool.
And so it's cool because I'm like, okay, maybe I've put aside the bass as far as learning and progressing and getting better and better for a season of you need to be doing this because it's coming. You'll need this. And man, I have fallen in love with the piano in a way that I never thought I would. So it's okay. Just pick one every other day. Just do one at least every day.
Yeah. That's a
Um,
very good thing. I'm the same way, except I only learn one. I try to learn like one instrument at a time. So right now I'm learning guitar, dude. I haven't even told you this.
good.
I
I'm
bought a
learning
guitar.
something.
I'm so excited about it. I gotta show you.
Yeah, show me.
Ah,
Ah,
like
that's
you can
pretty,
still
dude.
see the little guitar, and I've been learning like I'm going sh- I'm going straight to like minor
Yeah,
seven and major seven chords,
you
obviously.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's been cool, and I think because I know music theory, it's actually like not as
it's
difficult for
not
me to
difficult.
just
No,
jump to a song
exactly.
and
Yeah,
play it. It's difficult in terms of like playing the chords as quick as I want to, but I know
but
that'll
that'll
come in
come with
time.
time. Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
come with time. And yeah,
I
you're
think.
right though. Music theory, man. That's how I've been able to play the piano. I'm like, oh well, this is just a this, and then
Hmm.
it's like, okay, where do I put my fingers is the most difficult thing. Um,
Yeah.
but now it's gotten easier.
So
Uh,
so Stephanie has asked a couple of questions, but I'm gonna go to her last one.
which one?
How can I be extremely good in tritone chords and apply it to my playing? Okay, Stephanie, I would
Just fake it.
say
Just fake
I
it.
would say
No,
that
I'm just playing. Listen to David.
just by your questions, I feel like you're doing a lot. Which musically that's what eventually happens, right? Like you learn all of these things. But I would say let's take one thing and focus on that one thing. So like this month, so like Chad might have been talking about this and somebody who wanted to learn how to play in all your keys. Well, one way you can play in all of your keys is by taking a new key that month. Let's say you don't play an A well. And oh, sorry.
What in the world?
Yeah. Let's say you don't play an A major well, and You want to learn how to play
Transpose
an
it.
A major. Well, transpose everything in A major, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
transpose everything to A major. Like,
To A major.
that's the one way. That's one way I would say transposing is okay because you're learning something. So I would say for you, just take one thing and learn it. Like, learn all your tritones. See how you can apply it in all these songs. Learn song tutorials that apply tritones, right? That apply tritones, or like take a song, break it down, and see, okay, how did they apply the tritones they were using in this song? That's actually how I've been able to get better more recently because I don't play a lot of hard music, so I have to like go and dissect somebody else's song or figure out how do I add complex things to a song that I'm playing. So my one tip for you is take one thing, work on that one thing really well, see how you can apply it in multiple contexts. Okay.
Let's answer one
Um,
more before I learn what you did in July.
oh yeah, we
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
even.
One more. I want to answer this one. You can too. What tips do you have for worship leaders to improve the worship culture of a church? So I'm guessing they're referring to just the worship culture of the entire church in general, not just their worship team. But I would say you got to start with the team, and you got to know what culture you're even looking for. And you got to start with the team, and you talk about those things. If there's core values that you believe, talk about them until and if they are not sick of hearing it, they haven't heard it enough. And as well as, I mean, your congregation's a little bit different because you're at you have to you're following the lead, which is your pastor, and so you and your pastor have to have the same desire for the same type of culture of your church, as far as worship. Um, and if you do, then together you can decide, okay, what is this culture that we're looking for? Like, are we looking for people to raise hands and sing loud and, you know, like just be boisterous in their worship? Then we have to do that as well, and we have to, encourage them. Hey, man, that was amazing. I don't know, but really, it's that you have to be united with your pastor. You can't change anything if you're not, as a worship leader, if you're not united with your pastor, other than like maybe the way you do rehearsal. Uh, it just doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't really work all the time that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just with talking to different worship leaders.
One thing I'd say is you need to ask yourself why you want to change your worship culture. Like
Well,
you
what needs
clear,
to be changed about it
yeah,
is what
and
you want to
like
ask.
why do you want to change it? Because clearly you're thinking if there's a why, that means you're saying something is wrong with it, right? And so you need to get to the root cause of that problem. Um, to discover, okay, if we know what the problem is, how can we improve on that problem? So what an example of that would be, maybe people aren't singing. Well, you need to discover like why aren't they singing, right? Aren't they singing because they don't know how to sing? Are they singing because the music is so loud that they can't even hear themselves sing? Like that has been a problem in some churches where it's like,
Yeah,
or maybe the keys are too high. Like there's just so many reasons. So you need to figure out like the problem. Then once you find out the problem, you can come up with a solution.
yeah,
So
yeah. Absolutely. That's way better than what I said, probably. But
okay.
being united with your pastor is important too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
The pastor
it.
sets the tone in any church.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
I
you
mean,
said.
maybe the culture is healthy, except for, yeah, those few practical things that he's talking about. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
great, good job.
All right, you said what else I did in
Uh,
July, dude? I made an
yeah. I
album.
mean, you alluded to that in one of our conversations. We didn't even get to
I
talk a lot,
I know we did not.
but you made
Um,
an album. That's amazing.
yeah. So with our student choir, every year before I came there, they would make an album every year. They would make it. They put it on a CD, and then they would distribute the CDs on the mission trip that I told you I planned for. So this year we did the same thing, except we put the album on Spotify, and I don't really talk about my church much. I try to keep everything separate. So which is interesting because the kids in my youth group don't know I have a YouTube channel, and when they would find out, they'd be like, "What? How did this happen? Like, when did this happen? And you have this many followers? Like, this is insane." And
Yeah.
then
That's
on
cool.
Worship Leader Hangout, I don't really talk about my church a lot, like what I do, but it's called it's First Dallas Student Worship, and you can go and check it out on Spotify.
I'm
And I
going right
learned
now.
so much. I want to say I had to learn a lot about recording. Like you just you just don't go through a song and then you're done. Sometimes you record just one little section of a song to get it right, and you can do that like 5, 10, 15 times. Um, I learned a lot about uh, how like CCM stems are so thick with so many tracks. And I learned about music licensing. I learned about like having to do the production work, music production work for a lot of the songs. And so
Yeah.
if you listen to all of the songs on there, I think I had my hand in all of them, and two of them I made all the stems for. And
Right.
so
Okay.
for God So Loved, you
Wow,
should check
dude.
it out, Chad. Like I
I
did
already
all
did.
the
So,
stems except for electric guitar. And
mm,
I'm talking everything. And man, I did it in one day. I'm talking drums, everything. And I just learned a lot about how do you put it all together, making it clean. Um, I learned that production companies don't give you the rights to their stems, which is what we thought we were going to be able to do. We were thought we were going to be able to use their music and sing over it, but they don't. Most
okay.
of them don't do that. Only one production company did.
Is it
And so,
the heart, the one album with the heart on it? The red heart?
no, no, no.
Is that an
It's
older one? Oh, that's old, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This one is uh make sure I tell you the right name. That is an old one, yeah.
Okay, let me see discography. Discography. I don't
I mean,
see.
and I look, I did the artwork, and I did the artwork at 3 a.m. in the morning just to make sure it was online on time for our student worship mission trip.
So it's called First Dallas.
Student worship.
Oh, I see it. The album is a 10 album.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
Yeah, it has a
and
city on it.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, sweet. There it is. I found it.
That's it, man.
You called
And
it an EP.
yeah. I mean, I didn't title it EP. CD uh CD Baby did that automatically.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
That's cool.
and we did a acapella song on here that I was like nervous
Did you
about.
post it already?
What?
I'm about to post it on the chat so
Oh,
we can
okay,
see it
man. I
too.
appreciate that. I didn't like I said. I try to keep things separated.
Oh, no, no, no.
Um,
We'll post it on. We're talking about it. We'll post it on the chat. Yeah, there it is, guys. Check it
but
out.
anyway, I learned so much. So when we talk about like a summer of growth, that was a big learning curve for me, and we did it in a month. I'm talking recording, uh, post production,
Oh my gosh, that's a short
release
amount of time.
in a month, man. It was insane. Like I
Yeah,
literally thought just over this I was about to lose my mind. Plus I was planning a mission trip. So,
but did you do all live recordings, like video recordings?
no, we did get some video of it. I need to ask about that actually. Thanks for reminding me cuz there two 2 days were recorded. That's a
That's cool.
See, I wasn't even able I'm talking so fast. I wasn't able to keep
Yeah,
track of everything. And I even forgot we recorded video of the recording sessions. And I need to find out what's going on with that. So,
yeah. You should do that. But you did all that in a month. But Maverick City does all of it in a day. So,
what?
just- I'm kidding.
Oh,
No, it
okay.
just seems like they do.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
guys did
yeah. All
one
right.
in
So,
1 month.
what did you do? What was your
Oh
next thing
man.
you did or learned?
So yeah. So as far as just trying to keep up with our full time jobs and everything through the month of June and get that project out, um, for somebody asked what the denomination was, and it's Church Got a Prophecy. North Carolina had us do their online conference, and so we did that. And so once that kind of started concluding near the beginning of July, um, I went on a vacation also in between that, so that was nice. And then beginning of July hit, and we had to turn around and get ready for. um, get ready for that in person conference. And I was also trying to do a comm review. So Hollyland sent over a comm system called, I literally just have the video ready for today, Solid Com. And so anyway, so I was trying to fit in that comm review, trying to get that all done at the same time, and we were going to use that for that conference, and it was just a mess. And but it was good. It worked out really well. We also had VBS that we did in July. And we did VBS all the way up until the last day of VBS. We had to then turn over and get the whole church ready for this conference. And I mean, taking down all the decorations, turn everything
Mm.
around. I learned what I was trying to talk about earlier is I learned how to use a deck link and get that installed to be able to send all of our like video feed from the computer over to online and wherever else that we needed to go in the building. So that was
Oh
another
wow.
learning process. Um, Not, it wasn't that big of a deal. I might do a little video about it, but so that was cool. All the while, still keeping up with Sunday mornings, still continuing to push that and do a turn out a Sunday every week. I mean, it's just all that mixed in, and then also trying to say, oh yeah, we're going to start back in July with worship leader hangout videos. It did not happen.
Yeah.
And we got one video out in July that was a view, and I was like, man, I can't. There's no way I can do anything right now. So it was cool. But I just said, it's okay. It's okay if I take my time because it'll be better later. I filmed and did release a behind the scenes at Lighthouse Church when I was on vacation in Panama City Beach. I was able to shoot that with them and had a great time with them. So that was a big part of my summer too, editing that, getting that ready. So that was an amazing time. That's on the channel now, behind the scenes Lighthouse Church.
Yeah, I
And
saw some of that, man. I thought it looked great.
yeah, it's a really cool church, and they had their other church got destroyed, and they had to build another one, and it was really cool. Pretty cool story, and that's mostly the reason why I did that. But and it's my parents' church, so pretty neat. And then yeah, so that takes us through July. My son had a pretty bad bike accident because um, he's 4, but yet we still ride bikes a lot, and so that was kind of scary. But pretty quickly recovered from that. Um, that was at the beginning of July. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so
That's
as far
cool.
as learning, time management was a really big part of my summer. Just making sure I got everything done, and I knew, okay, the first day of August, all of this is going to have to be done. So let's just buckle down and do it anyway. You know what I mean? It's like, think about that a month from now. What needs to be done in 2 weeks? Well, a month from now, it's got to already been done. So how are you going to manage your time to make it happen?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I had to do. Just had to buckle down and get it done. And worship leader hangout didn't suffer because it kept growing, but it had to take kind of a back seat to all of this other stuff with full time job and family and everything. So,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
would
it's
say uh, I experienced some of that too. I do want to answer a couple more questions, but I talk
let's do
about
it.
like some of the things I learned. Someone says, let's see, on keys, how do you push past what you feel like plateaus in skill or development? I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, Buey, but that is a very good question. How do you push past what feels like plateaus in skill or development? And that is something I struggle with all the time. Whenever
Oh.
I struggle with that, I'm gonna answer it in a short way, and I hope it helps. I I take something I know already, and I say, how do I apply this in a new way? That's the only thing I can
Mm,
figure out,
that's
right?
good.
So like the other day, I wish I could show you my keyboard, but the other day I was going through like 5-1 progressions. And then I started saying, okay, let's make it 4-5-1 progressions. Okay, what happens if we just replace the 5 keep the same five in the right hand and replace it with a third in the left. So for example, if our five is G, I would play B in my left hand. Well, what if I did that with 4-5-1 progressions? Well, what if I kept doing that, going to every chord for that song? So let's say my song was C. The song had the chord progression of C, F, and G. Sounds like I'm cussing. Um, the chords were C, F, and G, and then I did the passing chords of F over A, B, G over B to C, then C over E, D over F sharp to G, and then I did B flat over D, C over D, C over E to F, right? I get something new. And I could keep like, okay, we have 4-5-1 progressions. What if I tried doing that like um going to the minor chords, right? And so like I discover some like new application. And then like I try to take the things that I know and I try to sit down, and sometimes I will stare at the piano and it may feel weird for me, but I will stare at the piano and I will say, what do I know? What have I not worked on recently that I could expand on? All right. I stopped there with that
That's pretty
answer.
cool. No, that's a great answer.
So
Um, I just watched Davin's videos. Answer done. Uh,
yeah. Also, too, man,
yeah.
if you feel like you hit a plateau, go and like look up people. Exactly what Chad is saying. I'm doing all the work for you. So like go watch the videos, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. No, you're right. I watch your videos because you say things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't do that yet, and then I just spend time trying to do it, practice it. Where? Oh my god, I just got lost in the questions. I saw a good one.
how to someone says how to find chords to a
Oh
song. I
yes,
would
yeah,
say
yep,
go look them up online, like song select.
yeah. So I will answer this just real briefly. If you're looking for chords for songs that already exist, yeah, song select, praise charts,
Worship
um,
together.
those kinds of things. But if you're talking about like how do you find chords for maybe songs that you're kind of writing or find chords without having to look it up, you got to work on your ear training. And we were just talking about this yesterday. I am definitely writing a video about ear training, and I'm really excited about it. So stay tuned for that. But the basic thing with that is practice, learn your intervals and practice, and you'll be able to hear it as if you're looking at colors on a piece of paper and telling what they are. Question. Oh, you already answered that. So yeah, that's a yeah. So what did you learn in July? Like, what were you talking? You alluded to you learned something else.
Man, well it's let me see. So you know, I have the play creatively stuff that I do, and
Mm-hmm.
I learned two things. So I was so focused on like church, barely doing anything with Worship Leader Hangout. I think I would send you my videos, but like I was just pushing them out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I learned like I hadn't been as active with the community there, and so I lost a lot of members in July. Like
Oh gosh.
it like it
And you're
it
talking about the membership on your site.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I lost a lot. Like, but I realized I just haven't been active. Like, I'm not paying attention to it, right?
Yeah.
So, but that is not as important. I mean, I felt that. So, like, I'm changing my process and everything for that, making sure I'm more active with the people on there. But that showed me I wasn't even active with my own family.
Oh
Like,
wow.
and so I've decided, and I was thinking about it a lot, and then it hit me. My one of my mentors I found out just had a divorce. I wouldn't say he's
Mm.
my mentor, but somebody I looked up to from the time I was a child. He had a divorce, and he had it 2 years ago, and I didn't know. And it just hit me really hard. Like, how could this happen to him? And not saying that my marriage was nowhere near that, but like drift happened slowly.
Yeah, it
And
does.
so I've just decided that I have to prioritize my family above so many other things that
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm doing this for them, and but I'm they need my time.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. You might
that's
be doing it for them, but that's not what they see at that moment. It's
mm-hmm.
like, well, I do need to prioritize my time and be with them as well
Yeah.
as work to support them. You're not really, your work, your support doesn't help them emotionally,
Yeah.
doesn't help them, see how to be a good person, how to be a man of God, and all
Yes.
those things. And so, yeah,
So
that's great. Yeah.
that was the biggest thing I'm learning, feeling like God talking to me. And then like uh in terms of spiritual growth, um I read a book from Tim Keller. uh Gee, I cannot remember the name of it right now. I could probably pull it up in a second. But it was just talking about like the story of the prodigal son. And Tim Keller
Hmm.
highlights that he doesn't highlight the prodigal as much as he highlights the other brother. And he spends much of
Oh
the
yeah.
book talking about the other brother, which is really not who we think about, right? And he says both of them had a problem. And one was doing what was right so that he could get what he wanted from the father, right?
Yeah.
And the other one wanted to control the father in another way. He was clear, I don't want anything to do with you. But like both wanted what the father had, but not the father, right? They didn't want a
Wow.
relationship with him.
Yeah.
And so it was clear with the other brother when the father's like, come inside, we're having a party. And he's like, I don't want nothing to do with you guys, right? So it wasn't about the relationship, right? It was about
Mm.
what I could get from you. And so
Yeah.
he talks about, I don't want to go too much into it, but basically how the other brother could was a Pharisee in the sense of his approach to having grace on those who uh, didn't didn't live right, like he saw himself as above his brother. Well, that's just been something I've been working on, is trying not to see myself as above people. Maybe they may not share the same faith as me, or they may not share the same political views as me, but at the same time realizing that it's been God's grace on my life that has brought me to this point, not because of something I've done. And so because of that, I should realize like God's grace can extend to other people. I know that may seem like a little bit cliche, but it's just something that's been going on in my own heart too. So um,
Wow, dude.
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that was deep. Um,
All right, you.
yeah. Well, I mean, also, I'm trying to finish my course in becoming ordained.
Really?
Yeah, I'm this close. But yeah, I finished another book that pertained to that, which was cool. And so I started that book. So in this particular course, you got to finish a bunch of books and do like tests and stuff like that. So I finished one and I was already halfway through another, so I'm back on that other one. So once I finish that, I'll be able to answer a bunch of questions and go through the rest of that process is what I'm talking about. But I've been kind of in this process for like 3 years now as a lay minister, and um, just kind of sitting under my pastor and learning from him, and um, like bringing messages and speaking to my worship team and things like that. I'm not really wanting to pastor a church necessarily, um, but yeah, so it's pretty cool. So I'm really close. So once I finish the course, like the study part, I'll be able to move into the next part of it, and then maybe sometime this year I'll be ordained, which will be really cool.
Man, I'm proud of you, man. For real.
Um,
That's cool.
and another thing, I got I'm a certified drone pilot.
Oh yeah.
So,
I remember
which
you
that
told me
was like
that.
at the beginning of the summer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
when we
like
were
to,
still
I like
friends.
to fly drones for different reasons, and especially for video. I mean, that's why I fly drones for video. But I wanted to
Mhm.
make sure I did it the right way, and so that was pretty cool.
That's cool, man.
That
That's
didn't
really
take
cool.
nearly as long as I thought it would, but yeah,
That's,
pretty cool.
that's really cool.
You want to answer some more questions?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We could do a question blitz.
Let's do it.
Um,
Let's try to do them fast.
okay. What let's see. All right. I'm going to go. Do you have a video on how to learn bare chords? I don't know what you
Bar
mean.
chords.
Bar
Bar chords.
chords.
No,
Chad,
we don't.
you should make a video on how to play bar chords.
Oh Lord, I don't
All
really
right.
play a lot of bar chords, but anyway, maybe,
But
maybe I'll
yeah.
get somebody to teach us how to play bar chords.
All right. You go
All
ahead
right.
ask.
Oh, question. What do you mean by music theory, and why did you say you went straight to minor and major sevens when learning the guitar? Because the regular chords are boring.
Yeah. Yeah. I already
uh,
knew what I wanted to do musically, and I knew that playing a
yeah,
C
yeah,
major was not going to be
yeah. This
fun.
is boring. Yeah,
Yeah. Like
and you probably already knew
and
how
I
to
know
play
how to
C
play that.
major.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted
Um.
it to look, I just want my music to have more flavor, to be frank, and you don't get that like as much from playing like simple chords, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So, all
So,
right.
music theory is just the study of music and how music works together, what the relationships are between each note and how those notes are put together and all that. It's study it. Just find a theory course, any music theory course, jazz theory, music theory, all of that. Just study it. It'll change your life forever.
Can I put a plug in for my course because it is a full music
Oh,
theory
I'm
course?
sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Find that one. Find Davin's music theory course. Do you have a music theory course?
Yes, it's a
Oh, I'm
music
sorry.
theory course. It teaches you it from the perspective of the piano,
Oh, okay.
but
I'm
it's
sorry.
like
Yes.
it's like 20 videos. You edited them.
Yep. Never mind.
Yeah.
Davin's course is perfect. Go to that one.
I'm a drop that in the
Uh,
chat. Um
yeah, we don't like A on this side. I don't know. I kind of know what you're talking about, but I like playing an A. All right. How to how to be good at playing. I feel like this is a title. This is a title with it. He's like, help me with my title. There's how to be good playing jazz music and how to practice blues scales and stuff like that. I say learn the blues scale and then practice it like crazy. Um, the first blues scale I learned, I was probably like 15 years ago. The first blues scale I learned was on a piano, and it was on a C major or C blues scale based off of C minor. But um, and then because I was playing saxophone at the time, and the guy was like, "Hey, you should play this, like learn this scale on the saxophone." And he played it, and I was like, "Well, it's easier on the piano."
mhm.
And anyway, that was like the beginnings of my kind of jazz understanding, and all that
Yeah.
was the blues scale. It was like a gateway drug to jazz was the blues scale.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it is. It is. And then you're stuck to it for life.
yeah,
I would say, man, just like he said, take a song, learn that song, learn how to play the blues. Like, there's so many resources on jazz that we don't even talk about jazz on this channel. Like, because there's just so much resources.
yeah.
Take one song
There's a lot. Yeah.
and start learning and just go after it.
What kind of guitar is best suited for all types of worship?
This
Acoustic
is all
guitar.
you.
Acoustic guitar.
No.
If you're talking about the type of guitar, I mean, any guitar, you can worship on anything. All types of worship. I mean, electric guitar is in every type of worship. I mean, I don't know if you're looking for like a style, like a telly or a strat or a whatever. I have no idea.
They
Um,
yeah, I don't either. Let me not pretend like I know. I don't know what I'm talking
yeah, I
about.
don't. But I mean, that's a Takamine. I've heard a lot of good things about Taylor and Martin and some other non brand names that are like really good. Um, but I personally, I don't really get into like the style of guitar. And as it pertains to different styles of worship music, I don't really think it matters that much because I've played with a lot of different people, and there's so many different type of guitars out there that I've seen people, worshiping with. because it just doesn't really matter, especially when you're talking about electric guitar and you're sending that through. I know my electric guitar guys are like, well, it a telly has a different sound than a Strat or a those, but I'm like, okay, cool, but I don't really get into it that much. Um, Basses is a little different. There's types of pickups that I like better for a bass for different types of worship and different types of music in general. Um, it makes a difference. How to be? Oh yeah, we already answered that. Let's see. Thank you. You're welcome. Question: Do you know? Do you know how to read sheet music, and is it necessary to learn how to read in order to get better at playing the piano if I want to play worship music or create melodies? Can I answer this before you do? Because I know you'll have a longer answer. It
I
is
could be
not
quick.
It
Go
is
ahead.
not yeah, it's not necessary to learn how to play sheet music or how to create melodies. That can come from within. So go ahead.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
Sorry.
It's not necessary to learn sheet music. I can read sheet music, but it's not
Yeah,
necessary.
it's it's not necessary. He's absolutely right. Um, the question. So, if you know you want to play worship music, then just start off by learning chords and piano riffs, and
Yeah.
then go from there. Um, yeah. Now, we don't diminish reading music by any means,
No,
and
reading
so
music. It's it's sacred to me. I Being able to read music is important, but
yeah.
you do not know how. I never read music when I lead worship. I mean, that's just how it is.
So someone
Uh,
said, "How can I best start learning by ear if my knowledge is
is
primarily
primarily
reading
yeah,
by music?" Okay.
ear training.
Um so I dropped two lessons in there in the chat section. One is from Chad, one is from myself. Chad does
Yeah.
a video on understanding like your chord progression, like the Nashville number system.
Oh
And
yeah, you put that in there.
if you have
Oh,
that
thanks.
perspective and you watch my video on ear training, you take those two, and that'll give you a very good framework on how you could start to learn to play the piano by ear. But basically, it boils down to this: you sing one song and you find out the
Yeah.
key of that song. So, step one, sing the song. Step two, find out the key of that song. And that literally is just playing the melody of the song. Once you figure that and you know the chords for that, once you know the key that you're in and you have the progressions that Chad has given you, step three is, does this chord I'm playing match the melody that I'm singing? And that's it. And you'll
Right.
find, oh, this works, this doesn't work. This kind of works, this works better, right? And so that's what you should do. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, starting ear training is learning your intervals. And somebody said, "Can you turn up your mic?" I'll just talk louder. Sorry. Um, and you learn your intervals first, and then you start learning how those stack on each other, and then those end up turning into triads and all that. So if you learn your intervals and then apply that in numbers, because I mean, when you're talking about a major second, you're literally, if you put that as a chord, if you play a one chord and then go up to the major second as your root, then that becomes a two chord, which is, if you're in the key of C, which is a D minor. So it all connects. You just got to start by, I say you got to start by your intervals. I mean, that's what they teach you in theory fundamentals in college. You got to start with those intervals first and understanding the number system and why that's important. It's not a lazy thing. It's actually more complicated than just saying C or D. It's actually like, well, what is D? Well, D's a two. What does that mean? Well, here it is. But yeah, so that's where I would start, and training your ear. So playing those intervals and listening. You have to. Nothing just comes by just saying, okay, I did it. I know. Here's a major second. Here's a major third. Here's a perfect fourth. Here's a minor third. Like you've got to do it over and over and over and over and train your ear, train your brain what that sound is, and tell yourself what that sound is. This is a major third. This is a minor third, that kind of thing. And then you'll be able to do some pretty amazing things once you
What?
get a hold of
Let's
that.
do a cool exercise for them. We're gonna be on for a little bit longer, so if you got questions, go ahead, drop them in the chat. Just say question before it. All right. Can you hear my piano?
Yes. Oh
Okay.
gosh, are you gonna quiz me?
All right.
What?
Chad was just talking to you guys about intervals, right? Chad, this is a what chord? What scale degree is this?
Well, that's a major chord, and that's a 1, 3, and a 5.
All right. One. Okay. So this is our one chord.
That's a 5 chord.
That's a 5 chord. Chad can't see
Yeah.
what I'm playing on the piano, right? Okay.
3 chord. Oh. Oh, 6. Sorry. 1. Is that like a 1/7 kind of thing?
No, it's the
Is that
same. I don't know how well
oh,
you can hear. So let me go
okay.
by
Do it
notes.
again. Do it. Yeah.
Okay, this is a 1,
Octave.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 major or perfect 4. Well, you went. That's a 4. That's a 5.
That's a 5, yeah.
Yeah. That's a I'm sorry. That's a 4th. Yeah.
That's a
That's a
4th.
perfect 4th. I don't know.
What's this?
6. I see. What I was hearing though was the actual interval that you were doing, not what the root
Gotcha.
was. Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
But anyway,
Okay, what's this one?
when it pertains to what?
The So this is 1. So
Yeah, yeah. That's your one.
So this was 6. So this is
3. Oh, 2. Yeah. Well, the interval you just did was 1, 5, but the
Oh, I see. Okay,
you're
okay.
doing single notes, so it's kind of hard to.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Anyway, so like that I was just using that as an example of how you can begin to like train your ear,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there are a ton of exercises online.
Play a chord progression.
Hmm?
Just play a chord progression real quick.
Okay. What was that?
Play it one more time. I mean, I could tell it was a 2-5-1, but was it a 2-5-1 to the 5? It was like a
2-5-1 to the 4.
2-5-1 to the 4. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the first chord you did was your 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you went 1 and then 2-5-1 to the 4, which
Mm-hmm.
was minor 5 1 to the 4.
4. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Last question
Okay.
here. Any info on how
That
to play
a little
keys in a
harder than I thought
band?
you were gonna do.
Say it again.
That's a little more difficult than I thought you were gonna do. I thought you were gonna
Oh,
just
I'm
do
sorry, man.
something.
I'm sorry.
Mm,
You playing so much CCM now.
mm. I can still
um,
hear it. It's
yeah.
just a little bit, maybe a little slower though. But yeah, when
And
you're doing those single notes, all I can hear is the interval change, not the related to the first note you played.
gotcha.
I
I
was just
follow
like,
that.
oh, yeah,
But that's how I hear it in relation to the first note
that
that
was
I
one,
play.
4, 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Any info on how to play keys in a band so that I am not stepping on the acoustic guitar bass player? You answer this, man.
Yeah. Just step on them. They'll tell you. No, acoustic guitar. I mean, it depends on what. I guess it depends on the song and what's happening in the song. Is the acoustic guitar picking a lot? That's when you've got to decide. Okay, am I just gonna play a lot of melodies and our stuff's gonna clash, or am I just gonna just hang out on the the basic chords, and just maybe just add some nice voicings or whatnot that sound maybe a little different, but if the guitarist is just strumming, dude, you have freedom to do whatever you want for the most part, unless it clashes in some other way harmonically. Bass player, I would say just know your bass player um, and the tone of your piano. And if the tone of your piano, when you play low, if the tone of your piano doesn't clash with the tone of the bass player, I would say it's fine. However, if your tone is very similar, then it's going to clash with what they're playing, and that bass player is not going to really like you being down that low.
Mm-hmm.
But if your tone is kind of bright and play like a C or a D, like 3. Yeah. So if you're playing down there, like maybe your pinky's all the way down there, and but the bass player's a boom, like his tone is different, that's going to sound pretty decent together. Whereas if you had more of a bassy tone, it's not going to sound good together,
Yeah.
especially if he's slightly out of tune or has kind of got his string bent a little bit. That's going to start clashing.
I'd say this is very interesting because like my rule of thumb is I don't even go there, which I know like you can, but I just if I know the bass player's down there, I don't even play down there. Like I just leave it
There,
alone.
yeah, there's really no reason to
Mm-hmm.
if the bass player's down there, especially doing his thing, and it's much more involved than maybe just playing
Yeah.
just a basic root. So yeah,
And
I
like
I try not to go down there either, but
and
yeah,
I find like acoustic guitar players are often in the like the octave above that or the octave and a half right above that, I feel. So
a
I'm
lot of
not there.
times they yeah
I'm not there either.
yeah
Um and I try not to class with the lead guitar players and they're often pretty high. So I try to stay I don't know, a little like a octave and a half above middle C to middle C somewhere. It
what's that
depends
sound
on
like?
what the music calls for.
We want to
It's
hear
a
it.
lot. Hmm.
What's it sound like? We want to hear it. Like, where do you
What?
play? Y- yeah,
Okay. Well,
but it also
it.
depends on your key, because you're playing an F as opposed to like C sharp. You're gonna have a
Mm-hmm.
hard time staying high because it's too high, and then
So like, I would. I'm probably up here a lot if I'm playing with a band.
mhm. You're talking about an F.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
I'm an F, and then what I can do depends on what the electric guitar player is doing. If he's having a lead line, I'm just kind of,
hmm
you know, I don't get to do as much, and I don't get to do a lot of movement. If he's not there, I get to do a whole lot more movement. So anyway,
Somebody said they finally caught us live. Yeah, well, because we don't do it a lot. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as far as what you're saying. Also, I mean, it also depends on the skill level of those other musicians too.
mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I would just talk to them. You just figure out where they're playing. There, there's time for that in rehearsals and stuff, um, and yeah, I guess one of the bigger things is just kind of not to clash with the really high stuff and the really low stuff, because it could make it sound pretty bad. A lot of
Yeah,
times, your acoustic guitar and your pianist are going to be in the same octaves, um, but as long as they're doing mostly rhythm or whatever, I just support the other instruments. If they have a nice picking line or something that they're doing, support that and just play really simple behind that. You hear that in a lot of music, where it's like, okay, is this guitar driven or is this keys driven? You hear it. Just
yeah.
support
You
it.
know, man, what's interesting? Something we haven't said is change your tone. Like Well, you actually did talk about it, but you don't have to play piano on everything, which I find like that can often be the biggest clasher is that you're playing the tone of the piano does not suit like playing with the guitar, like the acoustic guitar a lot of times.
If they're
So
both
like
really bright, it doesn't sound good.
yeah, exactly. So like change it to a pad or an organ
Yeah.
or like EP. Um
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, CCM musicians are like afraid of the EP. I don't know what it is. Um anyway. All right.
Yeah. I love it, but whatever.
Oh yeah.
Any more questions?
There's one more. You want to take this last one and then you we call it for the day or
Yeah, let's do that. Is it the who's it by?
Lynetto Allen.
Oh yeah, this last question here. What do you recommend to enhance hand independence on the keyboard? Lots of practice. And what practically helped me was scales. Doing two hand 1 and 2 octave scales in every key, major scales, and then eventually get into minor scales. I'm way worse at that than major scales as far as like the two hand stuff, you know. But uh, that will because your fingering. If you learn the proper fingering, your fingers do something different. Your left hand does something different than your right hand. Working your way up and down the keyboard, and it really does help with independence. Um, Also, be a drummer. That probably helps too, or a guitarist or a bass player or any other instrument that requires two hands. But if you're starting on piano for the first time, just yeah, maybe try to learn your chord, or learn your scales, and yeah, it's going to be a little bit different for each hand, so it's going to help. What do you do, or what did you do? I guess.
No, you said it very well. You said be a drummer or be a guitar player. Be those things on the piano, right? Like I try to when I'm playing the piano, I'm playing drums, man. So
Mm-hmm.
like um I'm thinking the kick for the bass drum, I'm
Yep.
thinking the snare drum in my right hand. Like that's how I think about it and then that's how I
Mm-hmm.
develop that like, be able to play a whole lot of syncopated rhythms like but the basic form of that is kick and snare. It's kick, snare, and then everything in between is the hi hat.
And he was in a whatever minor and going from 1 to a 4. By the
1 to
way,
6.
you were play it again.
Two, no, 6. I
Oh,
said
two to
1,
six.
2 to 6. Yeah.
Oh, which is if that two is a minor chord, if you're in that key as a minor key, then it's 1 to 4.
Would it be 1 to 5?
Oh, maybe. Do it again. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. 1 to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, but reverse it and it's the interval is a fourth.
Yes. Reverse it in the
Yeah.
interval. Yes.
Whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those two different intervals you just played there, same notes.
That's
Oh my
true.
gosh, that's where it
That's
gets
true,
confusing.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, same notes, two different intervals.
That is a one to, that is a reverse in 1 to 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Somebody asked about preacher chords, worship chords. I would say, quick answer, you we've never really talked about preacher chords because I don't do that well. And worship chords, I would think of being a little bit different. Um, what are my favorite? That's another way of saying like which street do you drive down on?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a hard answer. One of my favorite progressions though
Maybe.
is a 4/1/3. So that's gonna be like a F and then a C over E in my left hand. That's one of my favorite worship progressions.
You go to a 4 and then a 1/3.
1/3.
Show me.
Yeah. So like and then I like it because I get to do this. So anyway, so that's one of my favorite progressions. It's a one over.
When didn't
Sorry,
you went to a flat
four.
six, flat seven?
I'm going up in minor thirds,
Yeah.
so it'll be like I'm going to F, then to A flat, then to B, then to D.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, man.
So yeah.
Yeah. Somebody said, thank you guys. I learned a lot from you guys. Keep up the good work. And I think, I mean, well, we really appreciate that. That's a nice comment. But that, Linetto, you've ended it for us. You're so welcome.
Yeah.
My wife's called twice, and that also ended it for us too. So
Oh really?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I need to call her back. But man, we appreciate you guys. We have been busy this summer, but we have not forgotten about the channel. I have a video coming out today at some point. Once I get the links from Hollyland, I'm doing a com review. I did a com review. It's a really in depth review. It's a lot of fun. Um, well, I wouldn't say in depth. It's just a fun review. We had a good time, and so check that out. And then Davin's got a video coming out next Friday. Um, and then yeah, just keep going from there. So we really appreciate you guys watching. I know a lot of you are leaving right now, but yeah. Any final words, David? You good?
Um, nah, man. No final
This
words.
this has been fun. Yeah. Sorry about the interval stuff earlier. I was like, wait, am I supposed to be going from the original one or
You know what's gonna happen now? You're gonna go and practice.
you know I am.
You're
Well,
gonna
I
go and
that's all I'm gonna do for an hour. Just like
yeah,
just hit all my intervals and be like, okay, I'm good.
yeah. That
Because
was your
that's
wife
what I
calling
mean. You know,
saying, "Chad, you didn't know your
yeah. She was
intervals."
like, hey, you suck, bro. Well, I mean, it's not that I didn't know my intervals. You're playing the root to each of the. I'm like, wait, is he meaning from the last note he played or from the first note? What was the first note he played again?
Yeah,
So
that's gonna be funny.
that was my problem. But yeah, I am doing an ear training video soon. So Davin's gonna play a medium easy chord progression for that, and then I'll tell you what that is, and then medium to hard.
That's what I'm playing.
All right. Well, I'll be working on
Mm-hmm.
it. It's just fun to be able to hear stuff and either like figure out what it is or just immediately know what it is because you've done it a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So I enjoy it. So then I hope that everybody else can learn something from that too. I always just try to learn something when I make a video, and that's what keeps us going. What does your shirt have anything on the back of it?
Um,
Yes, it does.
always learning.
That's right. Yeah. So we want to
Yeah.
encourage you guys that great worship leaders and all of you guys are always learning. So anyway, as we always say, great worship leaders are always learning.
Are always
And we'll
learning,
see
and you should
you
go buy a shirt
next
because
time. Yeah. Oh, check it out. I will. I don't know. I don't have the link right here ready, but we do have merch and it's up and coming. But there is a shirt on there that says "All Keys Matter," and we want to encourage you to learn all your keys on all your instruments. It's really important. So unless you
Mhm.
play the trumpet, because I have no idea how to play the trumpet, so I don't care. But I did, dude. We had a funnel and we had like a long hose, and I put the funnel on the end of the hose, and I know how to do the mouth
Set your
my armature.
embouchure.
Yeah, set my armature for doing that, and I made a sound. it was
That's
it was really
funny.
cool. That was during
Yeah.
VBS. But all right, I'll let you go. Guys, thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now. We love you so much. Great worship leaders are always learning, and you should be too. See ya.